Week 3 of the Cruiserweight Classic and NXT as we head towards back to Brooklyn. Let's talk about it. What is going on, guys? JD from New York here. Thank you for tuning back into the channel. Tonight we are going to be talking NXT and the WWE Cruiserweight Classic for week number 3 of this tournament, July 27th, 2016. Unbelievable tournament so far. We are now nearing the field of the Sweet 16. Next week we'll conclude week number 4, and we will finally see the Sweet 16 fully formed for this Cruiserweight Classic. NXT, we are on that road to NXT TakeOver back to Brooklyn. Gonna be unbelievable, man. I'm here to talk about it. Thank you guys so much for tuning back into the channel. If you guys want to see these videos each and every Wednesday until the Cruiserweight Classic is concluded on the WWE Network, sound off in the comments below. Let me know what you guys are thinking, and please leave a thumbs up rating for this video. I would greatly appreciate it. Just a few things to go over before we get into the review, guys. The iTunes podcast, I've been revamping the iTunes podcast. You guys are going to get more content throughout the week going forward. Off the Script will be uploaded at the end of the weekend. News and rumors. I'm going to give you a WWE Raw review, a Smackdown review, and a Cruiserweight Classic review during Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So make sure you guys are looking out for that. iTunes, PodBean, Stitcher Radio, AudioBoom, Google Play, and soon to be Blog Talk Radio. So make sure you guys go check that out as well. I just uploaded a Smackdown review from last night's absolutely miserable fucking show for Smackdown Live. It was awful. I don't give a shit what anybody says. And that's pretty much what I have to say about that. If you guys want to know my full in-depth opinion on everything about Smackdown, you can watch the review here on YouTube or listen to it on iTunes and all other platforms. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Barbershop window for merchandise for this very channel, and Twitter and YouTube at JD from NY206 on Twitter, and subscribe to the channel JD from NY206 as we near 59,000 subscribers, man. Thank you guys so much for all the continued love and support. All right, man. Let's do this. Let's talk about NXT. We'll go over NXT first. Obviously, Full Sail University, Tom Phillips, Corey Graves. I wouldn't say my favorite right now, being that we see Mauro Ranallo and Daniel Bryan, but they are definitely the second best duo in WWE. As always, Tom Phillips and Corey Graves for NXT. Show starts off. Brooklyn is on the horizon. So NXT is slowly but surely going to start setting up the card. I went over the entire card already for you. I'll link you down below, and I'll put an annotation on the screen if you guys want to skip to that video to find out what exactly the entire card for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2 is going to be. So it is shaping up to be much better than last year's. Can't wait to see it unfold on the WWE Network SummerSlam weekend. We start the show off with none other than Shinsuke Nakamura versus Wesley Blake. I don't like Wesley Blake. I don't like either one of these guys, man, Blake or Murphy. I'm not a big fan of them. I enjoy Murphy better than I do Blake, but this was pretty much just I would say a practice run for Shinsuke Nakamura. Though he doesn't need it, it's just something to keep him busy during the week. So we got Nakamura beating Blake tonight with none other than the Kinshasa at 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Post-match, you know when William Regal is there. When he is there, shit is about to go down, and something of importance is going to happen and be said. That's exactly what happened here. Post-match, William Regal announces Nakamura versus Joe is official for NXT TakeOver back to Brooklyn. I cannot wait for that. That is the absolute right decision at this point in time. Samoa Joe, I don't know, man. I love Samoa Joe as the champion. I love his demeanor as champion. I love his character. I love the way he portrays a heel. He is absolutely phenomenal in everything he has done since he's come to the WWE. All the recommendations from Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H, they are working wonders, man. They did such a great job bringing him in, and I'm glad to have him in NXT because he's amazing at literally everything he's touched so far down in Full Sail University. Nakamura versus Joe, going to be one of the best matches of the year. There is no other match people want to see right now. There is no other #1 contender besides Nakamura. Nakamura has been undefeated so far. He has remained hot ever since WrestleMania weekend, and it's going to be a great match, man. There's no other match right now that needs to headline TakeOver but this one. Hideo Itami is going to fit into all this eventually. I believe Nakamura, in my honest opinion, I think Nakamura is going to take down Joe and end his reign. I think Nakamura is going to remain undefeated. He's going to be the new NXT champion. And I think Hideo Itami is going to pick up where he left off before he got injured and was out for more than a year. I think we're going to be seeing Nakamura versus Itami headline many takeovers towards the end of the year, man. I think that's what's going to happen, and I think that's where WWE is headed right now. But Nakamura beats Wesley Blake. Nothing of importance here. Not that exciting. 4 minutes and 30 seconds with the Kinshasa. WWE and NXT really need to start rebuilding the women's division. Everybody's talking about Bayley, Asuka. That is going to be, that is pretty much a done deal for NXT TakeOver back to Brooklyn. But Bayley, I don't know, man. I am on the fence 50-50 about what's happening with Bayley. Keeping her in NXT obviously is a foolish mistake. We all know she's ready for the main roster. She was at Battleground teaming with Sasha Banks. People want Bayley on the main roster. People were crying to me and everywhere on the internet. Why wasn't Bayley drafted to either Raw or Smackdown? It's because Bayley has a match with Asuka at NXT TakeOver, and I stated this, and I mean this wholeheartedly. I don't think Bayley is not ready for the main roster. Bayley is more than ready for the main roster. She could be women's champion right now if you wanted her to. She's that fucking good. She's the female John Cena. But my thing about it is, and I said this many times, and people just don't register. They don't register the words that are coming out of my mouth, man. They want to think that they're right, and they automatically want to think that I'm wrong because I'm the one with 58,000 subscribers. I'm the one sitting behind the microphone. I'm the one coming off as Mr. Know-It-All, but I don't come off as Mr. Know-It-All, man. I'm giving you guys legit fucking common sense, logical facts. Bayley cannot go anywhere right now. She cannot. NXT, and from what you watched at NXT tonight, or on NXT tonight, you seen Billie Kay versus Santana Garrett, okay? 3 minutes this match lasted. Billie Kay, Santana Garrett, they could be. I'm not saying they will never be or they can't be. They could be staples in the women's division, but they're nowhere near ready yet. It's like you're putting a fucking tray of cookies in the oven. And you're watching, and you're watching, and you're watching, and my mom always used to say, a watch pot never boils. You watch the cookies, and it's going to take forever for those cookies to be baked, right? These women are like a sheet of cookies going in the oven. They're not ready yet. It's like they just got inserted in the oven, and they're still just a fucking blob of dough. That's all these women are. So when they're ready, you will know. You will know by either crowd reaction, you will know just because you're a wrestling fan and you know these types of things and you have that type of instinctive feel when you watch. Billie Kay and Santana Garrett are not ready yet. And my main thing is by pulling Bayley to the main roster, you're going to pull Bayley and you're going to leave Asuka with nobody. Bayley needs to be replaced. You guys are talking about Ember Moon. Okay, I don't know of Ember Moon. I don't know of her history before NXT. I don't know what she did before WWE signed her. She could very well be the next Bayley or the one to replace Bayley, but she's not known to the NXT audience. You got to give her a few weeks, and then obviously all the internet smart marks down there that attend Full Sail University, they will obviously choose her to be the heir apparent to Bayley, but that's not happening right now. Until you find someone for Bayley and replace Bayley with somebody that the fans are going to accept and give Asuka another challenger, then you know Bayley's ready for the main roster. Right now, all she's concerned about is Asuka, and that is it. That's all I'm saying. Replace Bayley with somebody that the fans are going to get behind. I'm not saying you need to replace Bayley with someone exactly like Bayley, but you got to give at least Asuka a challenger after Bayley. Because we all know going into Brooklyn, Bayley's not going to win the title. I'd be shocked if Bayley wins the title. She's ready for the main roster. Everybody knows it. WWE knows it. You know it. I know it. The crowd knows it. It's going to happen. And if WWE is smart, they'll have it happen on Monday Night Raw after SummerSlam. So, Billie Kay, Santana Garrett. I keep saying Santana Carrot like she's a fucking goon. Big boot by Billie Kay, 3 minutes and 7 seconds. Carrot. Kevin Dunn. You guys are playing Pokemon Go? Raticate? Yeah, everybody's tweeting me pictures that you named Raticate Kevin Dunn. That's Raticate Kevin Dunn. There you go. Anyway, Bayley, backstage, asked Regal for a title shot in Brooklyn, and her request is granted pending Asuka's approval. Asuka already said she'll be fighting either Nia Jax, Bayley, both. She doesn't give a shit. So, no doubt in my mind, Asuka will give the thumbs up to William Regal about making this match happen. TM61 versus Rob Risen. Rob Risen. The only thing rising is my cock when your sister fucking starts taking her clothes off in front of me. Jesus Christ. And Adrian Nails. Now, I don't know who is who here, but I know one of them looked like a fucking thug that you would find in Final Fight, the video game. You ever play fucking Final Fight with Hagar and Guy, right? He looked like he was wearing some fucking gloves that you'd find at Spencer's, and they had like skulls on him, and he had jeans on, and he had no shirt on, he had sneakers. It looked like he was a fucking thug in a back alley that you'd find in Final Fight, the video game. The other guy looked like one of the Joker's henchmen with the red hair. I don't know where these guys came from, but obviously TM61 made quick work of these guys. Thunder Valley to Nails at 3 minutes and 7 seconds. They all shake hands at the end of the match. Nice way to send them off there. Sportsmanlike conduct from both teams. TM61, man, they're going to be a good team to look out for in the tag team division of NXT. We take a look at Austin Aries turning full heel. I like it. That's the way he should be, and that's the way he comes off best as a full heel, because he's a fucking prick. He can be if he wants, and I love it. And No Way Jose, he's changing his attitude. He wants to come out here and be fun-loving. Austin Aries kind of ruined that for him, and now he's got to show his brutal side and his, take no bullshit attitude. So I like that, man. I like the fun-loving No Way Jose, and I also like No Way Jose when he wants to get serious. I like that type of character. That's a nice little tweak to add to the character of No Way Jose. Hideo Itami's returning next week. I can't wait to see how he looks and how he fares back in the ring, getting rid of that ring rust after being away for over a year. Speaking of No Way Jose, he fought Steve Cutler tonight. Quick work of him with a Cobra Clutch Slam at 1 minute and 52 seconds. Post-match, No Way Jose says he wants Aries, which is going to be booked for TakeOver Brooklyn. I definitely want to see that match. It's going to be very interesting, because all he wants is to have fun, and all he was doing was trying to show Austin how to have a fun time. There won't be any dancing next time, because it's time for an ass-whipping, courtesy of No Way Jose. Buddy Murphy versus Kota Ibushi was the main event of this show, and Kota Ibushi is absolutely fucking amazing, man. There was one spot in this match where he kicked Buddy Murphy so fucking hard, and he turned it into a German suplex. I legit thought that was over. But I'll tell you what, man, the match lasted 5 minutes. Buddy Murphy looked good in defeat. I will give him that. They made him last longer than I initially thought. Kota Ibushi, obviously, he is my personal favorite to win the Cruiserweight Classic. No doubt in my mind, he's going right to Monday Night Raw when this thing is over. He may very well be the Cruiserweight Champion entering Monday Night Raw when all is said and done. But Buddy Murphy, man, lasted 5 minutes. That's 5 minutes longer than I expected him to. A sit-out powerbomb by Ibushi, man. And his powerbomb, I don't know what it is, man. When he comes down, he picks him up, and he slams him down, and it's one of them fucking forceful slams, dude. And he sits down. You know it's fucking over after that. Kota Ibushi makes his NXT debut at Full Sail University, beating Buddy Murphy. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is with Blake and Murphy, man. I just don't like them together. I don't like them by themselves. I don't think they have any it factor alone, but Buddy Murphy is the better of the two, and his entrance gives me the fucking feeling that I'm having a seizure. I don't know what it is with the fucking techno music and the fucking in and out camera, like I'm fucking at sea waiting to hurl. I don't know what the fuck that's about, but whatever the case may be, Kota Ibushi wins NXT debut, sit-out powerbomb, 5 minutes and 21 seconds. Bobby Roode debuts next week. Can't wait to see what he is all about in NXT. And Joe closes the show. Samoa Joe. He is interviewed in the back, and apparently he's walking into the arena. He is just being told about the title defense that William Regal booked for TakeOver, and Joe will not be defending the title against an undeserving contender like Nakamura. This brings out William Regal to the stage, and he says, "Oh yes, you will defend the title against whoever I say." And Joe is not a happy camper. Regal looks especially ticked off as Joe tells him that they can go to William Regal's office and determine an opponent of Joe's choosing. Joe, in typical heel fashion, says, "Fuck your decision about Nakamura. We're going to sit down, me and you, and discuss who I think is a worthy contender for the NXT Championship. Regal says, fight Nakamura or forfeit the title. That's enough for Joe, and the match is on. Obviously, he doesn't want to be stripped of the title. He will defend against Nakamura, assuming that he doesn't take out Nakamura before Brooklyn. So there is the hook for next week's show. Will Joe try and take out Nakamura before Brooklyn? Nakamura comes to the stage, and he's doing like a bullseye and a telescope as he's pointing at Joe, who's standing in the ring with the NXT Championship, and they stare off at one another, and the show goes off the air, man. Not really the most exciting episode of NXT, but it laid the groundwork for TakeOver back to Brooklyn, so you can't complain about that. Brooklyn's shaping up to be a very, very good show. Let's go over the Cruiserweight Classic, guys. This was week 3 of the Cruiserweight Classic, and in my honest opinion, after what we've seen in week 1 and week 2, week 3 so far has been the weakest of all the episodes we've seen so far. And it's only going to get better from here, but I feel like this week's show was dragging a little bit, and I feel like compared to week 2 and week 1, it really didn't live up to the standards that we've seen so far. But that doesn't take away from some of the great athleticism and some of the great names that we've seen tonight. And the show started off with somebody that I've been really interested in seeing, and that is Zack Sabre Jr. Now, upon first look at who Zack Sabre Jr. was, I had no prior experience with watching him wrestle. I don't know about him at all. I never seen him move in the ring. I didn't know anything about Zack Sabre Jr. entering this match, which was the way I wanted it, because this tournament for me is a way for me to open my horizons, broaden my horizons about the talent that WWE scoured the world for to bring into the company exclusively for this tournament. And I'm happy to say that I enjoyed what Zack Sabre Jr. brought to the table. My only thing about him is he reminds me, and this is not a knock on Daniel Bryan, because I loved Daniel Bryan. You guys know that more than anybody. I'm a huge Daniel Bryan fanboy. It fucking broke my heart to know that he won't be able to do what he loves to do in the matches that we are ultimately going to miss out on because he had to retire due to injury, unfortunately. But he reminds me of an English version of Daniel Bryan. That's exactly what it was. There's nothing special about his appearance, nothing special about the way he looks. He's just ordinary, you know? He's just there, and he's great at what he does. And apparently he's been wrestling since he was 12 or 13 years old. He knew he wanted to be a wrestler at that age. And he was going against Tyson Dux from Canada. So it was Canada versus England in the first match. Obviously, the crowd was excited for Zack Sabre Jr. Dux is no slouch either. He looks phenomenal. And I will tell you this right now, just based on his look and the way he is in the ring and the veteran that he is, both of these guys can easily be signed to WWE contracts. In fact, I would love to see both of these guys signed to WWE contracts and placed in the Cruiserweight division. I love the way both men carried the match. I love the way both men pretty much showed you what they had in the ring. This wasn't a typical Cruiserweight match. It really wasn't. It wasn't like the Grand Metalik or the Lince Dorado match with Mustafa Ali. It was nothing like that. It was more ground-based. It was more submission-savvy. It was more technical than anything. And the reason why I am going to fall in love with the modern-day Cruiserweights that WWE is showcasing with this tournament is because they blend all those styles into one. The high-flying, the lucha, the athleticism, plus also the ground-based technical submission wrestling, which I love as well. So you got a mixture of all that, and it's a recipe for success on the WWE if they want to treat it like it should. In the end here, we all knew Zack Sabre Jr. was going to win, 9 minutes and 23 seconds. We see in the end of this match, Dux put Zack Sabre Jr. in a Fujiwara armbar, gets to his feet, and grabs an octopus hold on his feet. So that was pretty brutal in itself. Tyson gets to the ropes. Zack hit a running kick to the chest for a 2 count. Quick DDT gets Tyson Dux for a 2, and he clotheslines Zack's almost off completely. Brutal clothesline. Sabre comes right back with the Kimura before taking him down into something that was very similar to a yes lock, but he bends Duke's finger back And then submission, finally at 9 minutes and 23 seconds. It was a double arm lock by Zack Sabre Jr. Beats Tyson Dux. And that was it, man. He goes on to the Sweet 16. I like the way, like I said, Dux moved in the ring. I like the way he portrayed himself. He's got a great look, physique-wise. Zack Sabre Jr., man, he reminds me of Daniel Bryan and Bret Hart mixed together. Daniel Bryan because he's just a regular, ordinary guy from England. And the skills of Bret Hart, man, he's like a fucking tactician in the ring. Fucking pulling out moves I've never seen before. Pulling out moves that I don't think we've ever seen in WWE, period. He was great at what he did, and he moves on to the Sweet 16. Can't wait to see more of him as he pretty much gets more comfortable with what he's doing in the ring, especially on the WWE side of things. So that's great. Zack Sabre Jr. wins, beats Tyson Dux. Next, we had Drew Gulak. Drew Gulak, an expert submission specialist from Philadelphia. He was going against Harv Sira. He was inspired by Eddie Guerrero to embrace his heritage. He wanted to take his Indian background and his Indian heritage and not make it too over the top, and he didn't want to make it stereotypical of what an Indian heritage, or a wrestler from an Indian heritage does. He wanted to put a spin on it, and that's exactly what he did. He's part of the Bollywood Boys. I was going to say Hollywood Boys. Jesus Christ, Bollywood Boys. And this is America. Obviously, like I said, Gulak from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, versus Sira from India. Didn't really like this match all that much, man. Gulak, I will tell you this. Gulak is another one of those guys who is of the old school. You can look at Gulak and the way he moves and the way he does his thing in the ring. He reminds me of... I don't know, man. He's just got that old school vibe. He's got that fucking Bob Backlund-esque attitude in the ring that's very firm and hard-hitting and absolutely no bullshit, man. And he's going to use all his power, and that's exactly what he did. He used his power to pretty much make Sira tap here tonight. Dragon Sleeper. You've seen him trying to get the Dragon Sleeper on, and the motion in which he showed everybody by attempting to get the Dragon Sleeper on, it was brutal in itself. And then when he finally applied the Dragon Sleeper, it was over. Sira tapped instantly. Dragon Sleeper, 5 minutes and 24 seconds. Gulak, I don't know who he's got. I think he's going against Zack Sabre Jr. in the next round, I believe. I think it's Gulak versus Zack Sabre Jr. in the Sweet 16. So that's going to be interesting, man. Actually, Gulak is the submission specialist. He's a submission wrestler. Zack Sabre Jr. is more on the technical side as well. It's going to be a very interesting match. I just didn't like Gulak. I thought he came off as bland and a little boring, a little too serious. Not much character to him, but Sira really didn't impress me either. He's got the whole, Indian heritage and that type of thing going on, but he really didn't show me anything as far as what he does in the ring. So it was pretty much a stalemate as far as both guys go. And it is what it is, man. Gulak got it. Dragon Sleeper, 5 minutes and 24 seconds. Someone I've been definitely looking forward to see in this tournament, Tony Nese. He's from America. And he went against Anthony Bennett, also from American soil. Bennett's thing is his hair. He's got that big afro, and he's got his sunglasses, and he's very, I would say, flamboyant, very out there with his gimmick, dancing around. Nese is one of those guys, he doesn't look like a cruiserweight, but he's got the weight of a cruiserweight, but he's jacked, he's built. So, I was going with Nese here. There was no question that Tony Nese was going to win this match. I was not impressed at all by Anthony Bennett. He didn't do anything for me at all, and that's just my honest opinion. I was more impressed with Tony Nese. And if you need to know what Tony Nese looks like, man, he's definitely you put fucking Macho Man, Damien Sandow, the intellectual savior of the masses gimmick, and you put the Drifter, Elias Sampson, in a blender, you got Tony Nese, man, but with longer hair. Tony Nese looks great. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him more. He calls himself the complete athlete. Ended this match with a picture-perfect 450 splash from a man that size, muscular build, to do a 450 splash that fucking good. Unbelievable. He beats Anthony Bennett, which I'm happy it happened, at 6 minutes and 33 seconds. He goes on to the next round, Sweet 16. And in the main event, Raul Mendoza, another one here, idolizing Eddie Guerrero, who said he was small but a champion. Raul Mendoza built his personality and his stature off what Eddie Guerrero had built his foundation upon, being small, underdog, yet ultimately became a champion. He went against the Brian Kendrick, trained by Shawn Michaels, HBK, former WWE Tag Team Champion, and this is his second time in the WWE after an 8-year absence. I will tell you this, man. I knew going into this Brian Kendrick was going to win this. I was very interested to see how he portrayed himself second time around in WWE. Daniel Bryan was all for Brian Kendrick, fanboying. Brian is picking Kendrick to win this match, to win this tournament, rather. Not only the match, but the tournament. That's his odds-on favorite to win the tournament. He went over that. He fought Brian Kendrick several years ago back in San Antonio, Texas, in October. I believe he said 2003 or 2004. I'm not really sure of the year. I wasn't really paying attention. But Brian Kendrick showed you he still got it. Raul Mendoza, though, impressed me more than Brian Kendrick, man. I believe both men are definitely deserving from what we've seen here tonight of WWE contracts. I would love WWE to give Brian Kendrick a second chance. He could be a staple in that Cruiserweight division. Raul Mendoza, man, what athleticism from him and what heart he showed. Definitely played up to that whole small but, you know, true champion type attitude that Eddie Guerrero lived by. He pulled off a coast-to-coast that would make Shane McMahon proud. He was actually bleeding midway through the match. He did a beautiful fucking tope plancha over the top rope towards the entrance ramp on Brian Kendrick. And he was actually bleeding, like I said. Kendrick actually played the heel in this match, pulling off some old-school HBK heel-type moves. And Daniel Bryan even played that up, pulling out some of the bags of, some of the tricks in the bag of Shawn Michaels when he was a heel. You know, he played possum a few times, and that ultimately won him the match. But there was one point in the match where Mendoza had his mouth opened by Kendrick. He placed his teeth or his mouth on the rope, and Brian Kendrick hit the rope. I believe it bloodied Mendoza's mouth up. The referee had to stop the match for a little bit, even though he was wearing a mouth guard. And it ultimately led to his defeat. Brian Kendrick was just too much. Played up the heel character, the heel role in this match. Possum faked an injury, pulled Mendoza into a chokehold, which was called the bully choke. He spread his entire body across Mendoza's lower back and then yanked on his throat, ultimately making him tap. 7 minutes and 35 seconds. I was more impressed with Mendoza. He had the full crowd support. People were actually chanting for Mendoza at the end of the match when the referee was raising Brian Kendrick's hands. But Brian Kendrick goes on to the Sweet 16, and he is advancing in this tournament. I hope to see more from Raul Mendoza, even though he did go down in defeat to Brian Kendrick, man. So, like I said, I believe this was the weakest week of the Cruiserweight Classic. Looking forward to next week to see the gentleman Jack Gallagher debut in this tournament. I believe he has a character that would be perfect for the Cruiserweight division. I can't wait to see how he's portrayed in this tournament. And I can't wait, man. The more we go on into this tournament, we see the weak ones being weeded out, and the superstars that are ultimately going to be signed by WWE for the Cruiserweight division are going to pretty much shine through, and I can't wait to see how this all unfolds. I'm enjoying it. Definitely my favorite day of the week for WWE program. We got NXT and we got the Cruiserweight Classic, but tonight wasn't a bad show, but it was definitely, compared to week 1 and week 2, the weakest of the 3 weeks so far. Looking forward to week 4. So again, Sabre Jr. beat Tyson Dux, double arm lock. Drew Gulak beat Harv Cera with a Dragon Sleeper. Tony Nese beat Anthony Bennett with a 450 splash off the top rope. And Brian Kendrick, Flying Brian, the Brian Kendrick, beat Raul Mendoza with a bully choke submission in the main event of week 3 of the Cruiserweight Classic. Thank you guys so much. If you enjoyed the video, let me know down below. I will continue doing these each and every Wednesday. Let me know what your favorite match was. What do you think about the return of Brian Kendrick? What do you think of Raul Mendoza? Who impressed you the most so far in this tournament on week 3? I'm JD. I'll have something for you guys tomorrow as well as Friday, as always, with Off The Script. Until then, guys, hit that thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below in the comments, and I will see you all right back here for more great WWE content. I'm JD, and I'll talk to you guys later.